Hey everyone, I thought I'd do 5 quick bits of advice for Cinema's Viewport for June. These are going to be 5 things which wouldn't normally come up in your day-to-day stuff, but once somebody tells you about them, you might find that they're actually quite useful. So, the first thing on our quick little list here is going to be selecting objects in the viewport. Sometimes you've got a scene with various objects all overlapping. So maybe you've got a cube, a sphere, this platonic, and I don't know, let's say an oil tank. And they're all kind of spread out, one here, one there, one over there. But depending on your point of view, they might all be overlapping like this. And you might find it's a little bit difficult trying to select the particular object that you're after. So the first 2 bits of advice are actually ways you can more easily select these. And the first one, it's something you might accidentally come across, but unless you're going to sit there reading the manual, it's a bit obscure. Let's say I'm trying to select one of these 4 objects, but my point of view just doesn't really allow me to do this. What you can do, so this is tip number 1, hold down Shift on your keyboard and right click above the area where the object is. Cinema will give you this, a nice little list of every object which was underneath your mouse pointer. So you can now just select one of these from the list, and there you go, you've now managed to grab the object. Tip number 2 is similar. Again, sometimes you've got overlapping objects and you're trying to select something, but you don't want to have to, maybe this is too much effort, you don't want to have to hold Shift and right click to get the list. Well, another choice you do have is to just keep on clicking. When I first click my mouse over here, I get the first object, the one closest to us, the cube. But if I keep my mouse still and I click again, it will now select the next object behind it, which in this case is this platonic. And if I keep on clicking, it'll eventually just cycle through all these objects which are behind your mouse pointer. Good luck if you're using a Wacom tablet though, because the chance that you're going to be able to keep your pen that still whilst clicking is very small, so you guys should probably go for the Shift right click option. Okay, number 3 is working with subdivision surfaces, or for those old enough to remember, hypernerbs. Let's say you've got a lovely model you've been working away on, so let's just say this, this and this. That'll do. And we've placed it inside a subdivision surface, like so. Now, whilst you're working, you will very, very often want to select the mesh inside so that you can work on it. But the problem is, and this goes for pretty much all of Cinema's generator objects, when I click on this in the 3D viewport, it will only ever really select the subdivision surface. It won't select the cube or the polygon mesh that I have inside. But there is a way of doing this. It pretty much only works with subdivision surfaces, so don't try this with too many other things, it probably won't work. But basically, double click. Double clicking selects the child of the subdivision surface. There you go, nice quick little simple one there for you. Now, number 4, can't count. This one is going to be a nice quick one for switching cameras. Quite often you'll have a scene with lots and lots of different cameras. Maybe this camera is over here, this camera is up over the top, this camera is down underneath, and I've probably added a few too many there, so let me just lose some of those. You have quite a few ways of selecting cameras in Cinema. One option is just in your object list. You can click this little icon next to its name. You probably already know this one. Or maybe these cameras are scattered around and they're not in a nice convenient place in your object list. Well, another choice you have is to go to the Cameras menu and choose Use Camera, and you'll see them all listed there. But both of these could be a little bit slow if you're trying to switch cameras quite a lot. With this one, you've got to go through 1, 2, 3 layers of menu. With this one, they might not be in a good place. So let me show you a nice quick way of choosing your cameras. Go to Options and then come down to Configure. This will give you your viewport settings down in the corner. And what you want to do is you want to go over to your heads-up display, the HUD. That, by the way, is all this sort of stuff you see here in the corner, like this, sort of overlaid information. And one option you do have in here is just called Camera. Now, a lot of people would assume, quite rightly so, that this really just tells you what your camera is called. So if I switch cameras to camera 6, camera 6, camera 5, camera 5. But what a lot of people don't realise is it's clickable. When I click on this, it's just a list of my cameras. This menu here is exactly the same as this menu here. But it's always there, it's always visible, it tells me what camera I'm looking at, and I can just simply go, click, choose a camera, let go. So you can do it in a single click. Anyway, there you go, that's number 4. And for number 5, this is mostly going to be for people who have to work and navigate within a tight space. So architects would be a good example. Let's say I have a cube, which is going to act as my room. And just so we can get inside a bit more easily, let's just go ahead and rip off a side. And inside this room, let's just throw something inside for us to have a look at. Let's take this stick man, chuck him inside, throw him in the back. And I'm just going to add a little bit of light because it makes seeing what we're doing and navigating a bit easier. So let's throw this light in, shrink it down, and last of all, just quickly throw on a material. Just a simple checkerboard is absolutely fine. Let's see, effects, surfaces, checkerboard. And just because nobody likes black and white, we'll just go for white and grey. Okay, so here we have our room. And we're inside this room. We're trying to navigate. But you will quite quickly come across a bit of an issue in that I can sort of zoom in and out perfectly fine, and I can probably move okay, but rotation becomes an issue because I want to maybe look over to one side. I want to look over to the left or the right, depending which way around this camera is. But when I hold down number 3 on my keyboard to navigate and rotate the camera, my camera always swings around like this, so I can't easily look left because as I start to look left, my camera suddenly, bam, we've hit the outside of the wall. So you're going to very often be sort of smashing and crashing your camera through objects just because you're trying to navigate your view. Well, there's another way of doing it. We are using what's called cursor mode navigation. In other words, we will pivot and spin around whatever's underneath our mouse pointer or the cursor. You basically want to take a look at camera mode because rather than sort of swinging around wherever I first click, so by the way, when I click watch, there's that tiny little cross right by my mouse pointer. That's what I'm pivoting around. Rather than swinging around this pivot point, switch over to camera mode. And now when I go to rotate, my camera stays still and I can simply look around. This means it's really easy to look up at the ceiling, look down at the floor, pan over to the side. I'm not going to smash my camera through any walls. If you do happen to need to quickly pivot around something, by the way, hover your mouse above the thing you want to pivot around and on your keyboard press the insert key. For the Mac users with a great big full-size keyboard, this will be the arrow which is pointing up and diagonally. If you're using a short laptop keyboard, go on Google, find the shortcut for the insert key and go press whatever weird keyboard combination that is. But anyway, when you press insert, you get this green cross. Cinema will have now temporarily switched over to object navigation mode, or sorry, cursor navigation mode. So I can now actually pivot around my stickman, and when I want to go back to my sort of first person room navigating mode, just press insert again, it goes away, and I can now happily pan around and look all over the place. By the way, just in case your camera does get stuck, it can happen that if you happen to be working near the middle of the world, near the floor, in a certain location, your camera can start to slow down and get a bit bogged down. Just press the insert key twice, and this will sort of reset it and get it back working again. Okay, right, there we go. That's my 5 little tips for June. Hope you've enjoyed them. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget, by the way, you can always go to 3dfluff.com where I have a lot more videos, lots of free ones, some larger commercial ones if you're interested in some training. And if you are in the UK, I do personal training where I'll come and see you at your office or your home, and we can do whatever you like in cinema, and I'll teach you how to do things. Okay, this is Mash from 3D Fluff. Until the next video, ta for now.